"Do you think I'm worth saving?" The shaking gunslinger asked the Lakota woman Caleb Mercer rode into the small town as the sun was setting, the sky turning orange and pink like a painted canvas. His horse was tired and thin, its ribs showing through its coat. Caleb himself looked even worse. His boots were dusty, his coat was worn, and his face was shadowed by a thick beard. The town was quiet, too quiet, as if everyone was holding their breath. People stopped what they were doing when they saw him. Some looked away quickly, pretending they had not noticed. Others watched him with cautious eyes. Caleb had the kind of reputation that made people nervous. Stories about him had spread from town to town. They said he was a skilled gunslinger, a man who could shoot faster than most. They also said he was dangerous and that he had a dark past. Caleb did not stop to speak to anyone. He guided his horse slowly through the dusty street, looking at the buildings and the faces that watched him. He could feel the tension in the air, the way people waited to see what he would do next. He felt like an intruder in a place that was trying to heal. The town had been through hard times. Recently, there had been attacks from outlaws, and the townspeople had lost friends and family. The memory of those days was still fresh. People were trying to rebuild their lives, but the fear had not completely disappeared. They were careful, and they did not trust easily. Caleb stopped in front of a small general store. The sign above the door was faded, but the words were still readable. He tied his horse to the post and walked inside. The air was warm and smelled like flour and dust. The store was full of supplies, canned food, rope, tools, and clothing. The owner looked up from behind the counter and stared at Caleb. "Can I help you?" the owner asked, his voice cautious. Caleb did not answer right away. He looked around the store, as if he was searching for something. He was not the kind of man who spoke much. His eyes were tired, and he seemed to be carrying a heavy burden. "I need some food," Caleb said finally, his voice low. The owner nodded slowly and reached for a bag of flour. Caleb paid with a few coins he had saved. The owner watched him carefully as he moved. It was clear he did not trust Caleb, but he did not want trouble either. Caleb left the store and walked down the street. He noticed a small church and a schoolhouse, both of them looking worn but still standing. The town was not rich, but it was trying. People were working to rebuild their homes and their lives. As Caleb walked, he felt his hands begin to shake. It started as a small tremor, then grew stronger. He had been hiding it for months, but it was becoming harder to control. The shaking made him feel weak, and he hated it. He had always been strong, always in control. Now he felt like his body was betraying him. He tried to hide the tremor by keeping his hands in his pockets, but the shaking was hard to hide. It made him feel embarrassed, like he was losing something important. He had no one to talk to about it. He did not trust anyone enough to share his pain. Caleb found a small place to rest near the edge of town. It was an old wooden bench near a well. The well had a bucket and a rope, and it looked like it had been used for many years. Caleb sat down and looked out at the town. He felt alone, even in a place full of people. He thought about his past. He had been a soldier once, a man who believed he was doing the right thing. But war had changed him. He had seen things that he could never forget. He had done things he could not take back. When the war ended, he became a gunslinger, traveling from town to town, taking jobs that paid money. He told himself it was only work, but he knew it was more than that. He was trying to escape the memories. His shaking hands were a reminder of what he had done. They were not just a physical problem. They were a sign of the guilt he carried. Every time he saw his hands tremble, he remembered the faces of people he had hurt, He tried to push those thoughts away, but they returned again and again. As the sun went lower, the town began to calm down. People went inside their homes. The streetlights were not bright, but they cast a soft glow over the road. Caleb stayed on the bench, watching the town slowly become quiet. Suddenly, he heard a sound behind him. A soft voice, calm and steady. "You should not sit there." Caleb turned slowly. A woman was standing near the well. She was not tall, but she looked strong. Her dark hair was tied back and she wore simple clothes. She was not dressed like the people in the town. There was something different about her, something that made Caleb feel like he was meeting someone from another world. She looked at him without fear. Her eyes were calm and steady, like someone who had seen hard times and learned to stay strong. "I did not mean to cause trouble," Caleb said, his voice quiet. The woman walked closer, her steps slow and careful. She did not seem afraid of him, and that surprised Caleb. Most people were afraid of him, even if they did not know why. But this woman looked at him like she was not afraid of anything. "You are not causing trouble," she said. "But you are not safe here, not yet." Caleb stared at her, trying to understand what she meant. "Who are you?" he asked. The woman paused, then spoke with a calm voice. "My name is Ayanna." Caleb had never heard that name before. It sounded beautiful and strong at the same time. He did not know much about the people who lived nearby, but he had heard stories. He knew there were Lakota people in the area. He knew they had suffered a lot. He knew they had been forced to move from their land and that they had lost many loved ones. Caleb looked at her carefully. He noticed her calm expression, the way she held herself with quiet strength. She did not look like someone who would run away from danger. She looked like someone who could face it. "Why are you here?" Caleb asked, his voice softer. Ayanna looked at him for a moment, then answered, "I am here because this is my home now. I am here because I am trying to rebuild what was taken from us." Caleb felt a strange feeling in his chest. He had never met someone who spoke so honestly. He had never met someone who did not try to hide their pain. He looked away for a moment, his shaking hands moving slightly in his pockets. He did not want Ayanna to see how weak he felt. "You should go," Ayanna said gently. "You do not belong here." Caleb shook his head. "I do not know where I belong." Ayanna studied him for a moment, then nodded slowly. "Maybe you are looking for a place to start over." Caleb did not answer. He was not sure what he wanted. He had been running for so long that he had forgotten what it meant to stop. He had forgotten what it meant to be safe. Ayanna continued, her voice calm and steady. "You carry a heavy burden. I can see it in your eyes. You do not need to hide it." Caleb felt a sudden rush of anger. Not at her, but at himself. He hated that someone could see his pain so clearly. He hated that he could not hide it anymore. "I am not looking for help," Caleb said sharply. Ayanna did not react to his anger. She remained calm, like she was used to people acting this way. "I am not offering you help," she said. "I am offering you a choice." Caleb frowned. "What choice?" Ayanna looked at him carefully. "You can stay and continue to run. Or you can stop and face what you have done." Caleb felt his throat tighten. He did not want to think about the past. He did not want to face it. He wanted to keep moving, keep hiding. But the shaking in his hands was becoming harder to ignore. It was forcing him to face something he had been avoiding. He looked at Ayanna again. Her eyes were steady, and there was no judgment in them, only understanding. For the first time in a long time, Caleb felt something he had not felt in years, a small spark of hope. He did not know if he was ready to face his past. He did not know if he was ready to change, but he could not ignore Ayanna's words. He could not ignore the way she looked at him, as if he was more than just a dangerous man. Caleb stood up slowly, his body still trembling. He looked down at his hands, then back at Ayanna. "Maybe I am tired of running," he said quietly. Ayanna nodded once, as if she understood. "Then you can stay, but you must learn to face what is inside you." Caleb felt the weight of his past pressing down on him. He did not know if he could carry it, but for the first time, he felt like he might not have to carry it alone. As the night grew darker, Caleb and Ayanna stood near the well, looking at the quiet town. The wind moved through the trees, and the stars began to appear in the sky. The town was still recovering, still healing. Caleb was still broken, still trembling, but something had changed. A small door had opened, and he could feel it. He could feel the possibility of a new beginning. He did not know what would happen next. But for the first time in a long time, he felt like he might have a reason to stay. Caleb stayed in the town for a few days, not because he felt welcome, but because he felt like he had nowhere else to go. He slept in a small, empty building near the edge of town. It was not comfortable, but it was quiet. The nights were long, and the silence made him think. His hands still shook, but he tried to hide it. Every day, Caleb watched the town. He saw people working hard to rebuild their homes. He saw children playing in the dirt. He saw families trying to live a normal life after a difficult time. The town was slowly becoming a place of hope again, but the fear was still there. Ayanna was often nearby, helping where she could. She was not a person who talked a lot, but she acted with purpose. She carried water, helped with repairs, and sometimes she sat quietly with people who were sad. The townspeople respected her. They did not fully trust her because she was different, but they did not ignore her either. They knew she had a strong spirit. Caleb watched her from a distance. He was not sure why he felt drawn to her. It was not like he had ever trusted anyone. But Ayanna had something that he could not explain. She seemed calm even in difficult times. She seemed to understand pain, and she did not run from it. One day, Caleb saw a group of men in the town. They were rough-looking, and they had a dangerous presence. They did not look like the townspeople. Their clothes were dirty, and their faces were hard. Caleb recognized them from the stories he had heard. They were outlaws who had been attacking nearby towns. People feared them. The outlaws walked through the town as if they owned it. They spoke loudly, laughing, and they did not care who was watching. Caleb felt a chill in his body. He knew trouble was coming. Ayanna was near the well, carrying a bucket of water. She did not seem to notice the outlaws at first, but when she saw them, her expression did not change. She did not show fear. She only watched them carefully. The outlaws stopped near the center of town and began to talk to the people. They demanded food and supplies. They wanted money. The townspeople tried to stay calm, but it was clear they were scared. The outlaws were dangerous, and they had no respect for anyone. One of the outlaws noticed Caleb. He pointed at him and laughed. "Look at this man," he said loudly. "He looks like he's hiding something." The other outlaws turned and stared at Caleb. The town fell silent. Everyone watched, waiting to see what would happen. Caleb felt his heart beating fast. He wanted to walk away, but he knew that would make him look weak. He also knew that if he tried to run, the outlaws might chase him. Caleb stepped forward slowly. He kept his hands in his pockets, trying to hide the shaking. "I don't want trouble," he said. The outlaw laughed again. "You don't want trouble? That's funny. You look like a man who has caused trouble before." Caleb felt anger rise in him. He wanted to fight, but he also knew that fighting would only make things worse. He had seen too much violence already. He did not want to be part of it anymore. He wanted to leave it behind. Ayanna stepped forward, standing beside Caleb. The townspeople looked surprised. They had not expected her to get involved. Ayanna did not speak loudly. She spoke calmly, but her voice was strong. "Leave them alone," she said to the outlaws. "This is not your place." The outlaws turned to her, surprised. They did not like being told what to do. One of them stepped closer to Ayanna, trying to intimidate her. He looked at her with a cruel smile. "And who are you?" he asked. "You think you can tell us what to do?" Ayanna looked at him without fear. "I am a person," she said simply, "and I am telling you to leave." The outlaw laughed again. "A person? You think your words matter?" Ayanna did not move. She stood still, her eyes steady. Caleb could see that she was not afraid, but he also saw something else. He saw pain. He saw a history of being treated badly, of being ignored, of being forced to accept what others wanted. Caleb felt a strange feeling in his chest. He felt angry at the outlaws, but he also felt angry at himself. He wanted to protect Ayanna, but he did not know how. He did not want to fight, but he did not want to watch someone else get hurt. The outlaws began to push people around. They took food from the market and laughed. The townspeople tried to stop them, but they were not strong enough. The outlaws were too powerful. Caleb could see the fear in the faces of the people he had been watching for days. Ayanna stepped closer to the outlaws. She spoke again, her voice calm but firm. "You will not take what you want from this town." The outlaw who had been speaking to her stepped back, surprised by her strength. He looked at her for a moment, then smiled. "You are brave," he said, "but bravery does not help you here." Caleb felt his hands shake harder. He could not stand by and watch this happen. He knew he had to do something, but he did not know what. He looked at Ayanna. She looked back at him, her eyes steady. She did not ask for his help, but she did not stop him either. Caleb took a deep breath. He stepped forward, trying to appear calm. He spoke to the outlaws, his voice steady. "Leave the town," he said. "You have no right to be here." The outlaws turned to him, surprised. They had not expected a stranger to stand up to them. The leader of the group laughed loudly. "You think you can stop us?" he asked. Caleb did not answer. He only looked at the leader. His hands were shaking, but he held them steady. He did not reach for his gun. He did not want to be the kind of man who used violence to solve problems. But he also did not want to be the kind of man who did nothing. The leader stepped closer to Caleb. He looked him up and down. Then he said, "You are one of us. You have that look in your eyes." Caleb felt a cold shiver run through him. He knew what the leader meant. He knew that his past had left a mark on him. He knew that people could see it. He also knew that he was not the man he used to be. Ayanna stepped forward again. She spoke to the outlaws, her voice calm and clear. "You will leave," she said. or you will face the consequences." The outlaws laughed. They did not believe her. They began to move toward the town again, ready to take what they wanted. Caleb felt his heart racing. He could not let this happen. He could not let the town be destroyed. He could not let Ayanna stand alone. In that moment, Caleb made a decision. He decided to stand with the people of the town. He decided to stop running. He decided to face the danger. He did not know if he could win. He did not know if he could survive. But he knew that he could not stand by and do nothing. Caleb reached for his gun. The movement was slow, and his hands shook. The outlaws noticed. They laughed again, thinking he was weak. But Caleb did not aim at them. He aimed at the ground, near their feet. He fired a shot into the dirt. The sound was loud, and it echoed through the town. The outlaws froze, surprised by the noise. Caleb fired another shot, and the dust rose from the ground. Ha! The outlaws stepped back, unsure of what to do. The townspeople watched in silence. They had never seen Caleb do this before. They did not know if he was helping or if he was causing more trouble. The outlaws looked at each other, then at Caleb. They could see that he was not afraid. They could see that he was willing to fight. They were not sure if they should stay. The leader of the outlaws spoke again, his voice cold. "This is not over," he said. "We will be back." With that, the outlaws turned and left the town, disappearing into the distance. The townspeople breathed a sigh of relief. They were safe, for now. Caleb lowered his gun. His hands shook harder than before. He felt exhausted, like his body had been pushed to its limit. He looked at Ayanna, expecting to see anger or fear. But she only looked at him calmly. "You did not have to do that," she said quietly. Caleb shook his head. "I did." Ayanna nodded slowly. "You have a choice now," she said. "You can keep running, or you could stay and help." Caleb looked at the town. He saw the faces of the people who had been scared. He saw the children who were still playing. He saw the hope that was growing, slowly but surely. He looked at Ayanna again. He saw the strength in her eyes. He saw the calmness in her voice. He felt a strange feeling in his chest, something like a connection. For the first time in a long time, Caleb felt like he belonged somewhere. He did not know what the future held. He did not know if he could change, but he knew that he had taken the first step. He had chosen to stand with people who needed him. And that choice, simple as it was, felt like the beginning of something new. Caleb stayed in the town longer than he planned. He told himself he would leave soon, but something kept him there. He felt a strange connection to the people and to Ayanna. It was not just because she was brave or calm. It was because she seemed to understand him in a way no one else had. Days passed, and the town slowly returned to its normal rhythm. People went back to their work. Children laughed again. The town looked stronger, like it was healing. But Caleb knew the danger was still close. The outlaws had said they would return. Their words had not been forgotten. Caleb watched the road leading out of town. He wanted to be ready if the outlaws came back. He also wanted to protect the people. He had seen their fear, and he could not forget it. He had seen how Ayanna stood strong even when the outlaws tried to intimidate her. He had seen how she did not back down. That strength made Caleb feel like he could be better. One evening, Caleb walked to the edge of town where Ayanna often collected water. The sky was full of bright stars and the air was cool. The quiet made Caleb feel calm, but his hands still trembled. He tried to hide the shaking by keeping his hands in his pockets. Ayanna was there, sitting near the well. She was washing a small cloth, her face calm. Caleb stood a few steps away, unsure if he should speak. "Are you still here?" Ayanna asked without looking up. Caleb hesitated. "Yes," he said, "I am still here." Ayanna finally looked at him. "Why?" she asked simply. Caleb did not answer right away. He felt embarrassed. He did not want to admit that he stayed because he felt lost. He did not want to admit that he stayed because he felt like he needed someone to see him. "I do not know," Caleb said quietly. "Maybe I am tired of running." Ayanna nodded. She seemed to understand. "Running does not always solve things," she said. "Sometimes it only makes the problem follow you." Caleb looked at her. "How do you know that?" Ayanna's eyes grew distant for a moment. It was as if she was remembering something painful. Then she spoke softly. "I have run before," she said. "I have seen my home taken away. I have seen my people forced to move. I have felt the pain of losing everything." Caleb listened carefully. He could feel the truth in her words. He could feel her strength. He realized that she had survived much more than he could imagine. And still she was here, trying to help others. "Do you miss your home?" Caleb asked. Ayanna nodded slowly. "Yes," she said. "I miss it every day. But I also know that I cannot change what happened. I can only try to build something new." Caleb felt a deep sadness in his chest. He had never thought of his life that way. He had never thought of building something new. He had only thought of surviving. Ayanna looked at him again. "You have a choice," she said. "You can let your past control you, or you can choose to create a new future." Caleb felt the words hit him like a gentle but strong wind. He wanted to believe them, but he did not know if he could. He had spent so long believing that he was a dangerous man. He had spent so long believing that he did not deserve peace. "What if I am not strong enough?" Caleb asked quietly. "What if I always make the wrong choice?" Ayanna did not answer immediately. She seemed to think carefully. Then she said, "Strength is not only about fighting. Strength is also about staying when it is hard. Strength is about choosing to be kind, even when you feel like you cannot." Caleb looked down at his hands. The shaking was still there. It was like a reminder that he was not in control. He did not know how to stop it. Ayanna stood up slowly and walked closer to him. She did not touch him, but her presence felt comforting. She spoke gently. "Your hands shake because your mind is heavy," she said. "You carry too much inside. You need to find a way to let it go." Caleb looked up at her. "How?" he asked. "How do I let it go?" Ayanna paused. "You do not let it go all at once," she said. "You take small steps. You speak about it. You share it with someone you trust. You do not keep it inside until it breaks you." Caleb felt a sharp feeling in his chest. He had never told anyone about his past. He had never spoken about the things he had seen. He had never admitted the guilt he felt. He had always kept it inside. "I do not know if I can talk about it," Caleb said softly. Ayanna nodded. "Then you do not have to talk all at once," she said. "You can start small." Caleb stayed silent for a moment. He looked at the stars above them. The sky was clear, and the stars looked like tiny lights of hope. He felt like he was standing at the edge of a new path, but he did not know if he was brave enough to walk it. A sound came from the road, a horse's hooves, slow and steady. Caleb and Ayanna turned their heads. A man was riding toward the town. His clothes were dusty and his face looked tired. He stopped near the edge of the town and looked around. The man's eyes landed on Caleb. He seemed to recognize him. Caleb felt a cold feeling in his body. He did not want to be recognized. He did not want to be found. The man spoke in a low voice. "Caleb Mercer," he said. "You have been hiding." Caleb's heart raced. He knew the voice. It was the voice of someone he had worked with before, someone who knew his past. The man rode closer. Caleb could see the man's face clearly now. He had a rough look, and his eyes were sharp. Caleb realized this man was one of the outlaws. The man looked at Ayanna, then back at Caleb. "You did not leave," he said. "You stayed." Caleb felt his hands shaking harder. He tried to stay calm. He did not want to cause trouble. He did not want to make the town unsafe. The outlaw smiled. "You thought you could start over?" he said. "You cannot run away from who you are." Caleb's heart beat fast. He wanted to say something, but he did not know what to say. He looked at Ayanna, and he saw the calmness in her eyes. She did not look afraid. She looked ready. The outlaw continued. "Your friends are waiting for you," he said. "They want you back." "They want you to join them again?" Caleb's stomach tightened. He knew what he was being offered. He knew that if he refused, the outlaw might try to force him. He knew that the outlaws were not kind people. They did not respect anyone. Caleb took a deep breath. He spoke slowly. "I am not going back," he said. The outlaw laughed. "You think you have a choice?" he asked. "You are already part of us." Caleb felt anger rise inside him. He wanted to fight, but he knew that fighting would only bring more danger to the town. He looked at Ayanna again. She did not move. She did not speak. But Caleb felt her strength. The outlaw looked at Ayanna and then spoke again. "And you," he said, "you are the one who helped him. You are the one who thinks you can change him." Ayanna did not respond. She only stood there, calm and strong. The outlaw's smile disappeared. He looked serious now. "You should not get involved," he said. "This is not your problem," Ayanna finally spoke. "It is my problem because he is here," she said. "And because this town is here, and because I will not let anyone hurt the people who live here." The outlaw's eyes narrowed. He looked at Caleb again. "You will come with me," he said, "or you will bring trouble to this town." Caleb felt the fear inside him grow. He did not want to bring trouble. He did not want to hurt anyone. But he also knew that if he went with the outlaw, he would be forced to return to his old life. Caleb looked at Ayanna one more time. He saw her eyes full of calm strength. He felt something inside him change. He realized that he did not want to be the person he used to be. "I will not go with you," Caleb said quietly but firmly. The outlaw stared at him. He looked angry. He looked surprised. "You are making a mistake?" he said. Caleb stood still. His hands were shaking, but he did not move. He was afraid, but he felt like he was finally making a choice. The outlaw turned his horse and rode away. He did not leave quickly, but he left. Caleb watched him go, feeling the weight of what had happened. When the outlaw was gone, Caleb looked at Ayanna. He felt a mix of fear and relief. He realized that the danger was not gone. It was still there, waiting. Ayanna walked closer to him. "You did the right thing," she said softly. "You chose to stay. You chose to protect." Caleb looked down at his hands. They were still shaking, but now the shaking felt different. It felt like a sign that he was alive. It felt like a sign that he was changing. Caleb nodded slowly. "I do not know if I can do this," he said. Ayanna smiled gently. "You do not have to do it alone," she said. "You can start with small steps, one day at a time." Caleb felt a small warmth in his chest. He realized that he was not alone anymore. He had a place to stay. He had people who needed him, and he had Ayanna, who believed in him even when he did not believe in himself. The night grew darker, but the town felt safer. The stars shined above them, and the air was calm. Caleb knew that the road ahead would be difficult. He knew that the outlaws would return, but he also knew that he had made a choice. He had chosen to stay. He had chosen to face his past, and he had chosen to begin a new life. Caleb could feel the danger in the air. The outlaws' visit had made it clear. The town was not safe. The outlaws had returned, and they were not happy that Caleb had refused to join them. They would not forget. They would come back, and they would come back with more men. Caleb tried to sleep, but he could not. His hands shook even more than usual. He sat outside the small building where he slept and stared at the dark sky. He felt the weight of his past pressing on him. He felt the fear of what might happen to the town. He felt the fear of what might happen to Ayanna. He remembered the first time he had met her. He remembered how calm she had been. He remembered how she had looked at him as if she could see inside him. He remembered her words, "You can choose a new future." He wanted to believe her. He wanted to believe that he could change, but he was afraid. He was afraid that his past would always follow him. He was afraid that he would always be the man he used to be. The next morning, Caleb went to the town center. People were working. The sound of hammers and saws filled the air. The town was alive again, but the fear was still there, hidden beneath the surface. People moved carefully, always watching the road. Caleb saw Ayanna near the schoolhouse. She was helping a group of children carry water. The children smiled at her, and she smiled back. Caleb watched her and felt a strange feeling in his chest. He felt respect and admiration. He felt something like hope. Ayanna saw Caleb watching her. She walked over to him. "You look tired," she said. Caleb shrugged. "I am tired of waiting," he said. "I am tired of feeling like something bad is going to happen." Ayanna nodded. "You cannot stop the future," she said, "but you can prepare for it." Caleb looked at her. "How do you prepare for something you do not know?" Ayanna looked toward the road. "You prepare by being ready," she said. "You prepare by standing strong." Caleb nodded slowly. He knew she was right. He had to be ready. He had to be strong. He had to protect the town. Ayanna continued, "You cannot do this alone." Caleb looked at her. "I know," he said, "but I do not know how to ask for help." Ayanna smiled softly. "Then start by trusting the people here," she said. "They are not your enemies. They are your neighbors." Caleb thought about the townspeople. He had seen their fear. He had seen their courage. He had seen how they had started to rebuild their lives. He realized that they were not weak. They were strong in their own way. He remembered how they had watched him with suspicion. He remembered how they had not trusted him. But now he saw something different. He saw a small change. He saw a glimmer of hope. Caleb and Ayanna began to talk to the town leaders. They spoke quietly in a corner of the town square. The leader of the town, a man named Mr. Thompson, listened carefully. He was a calm man, but he had a strong presence. He had been through hard times, and he had learned to stay steady. Mr. Thompson looked at Caleb and asked, "Are you sure you can help?" Caleb swallowed hard. "I will try," he said. "I do not want to see this town destroyed." Mr. Thompson nodded slowly. "We will need more than one person," he said. "We will need everyone." Caleb looked around at the people nearby. He could see the fear in their eyes. He could see the doubt. But he also saw something else. He saw determination. He saw people who wanted to protect their home. Mr. Thompson continued, "We will prepare a plan. We will set up watches. We will have people watching the road at all times. We will keep our doors locked at night. We will hide our supplies." Caleb listened carefully. He nodded. He could see that the town was ready to fight if needed. He could see that the town was ready to protect itself. Ayanna spoke quietly. "We should also talk to the people who live nearby. The Lakota community might be able to help." Mr. Thompson looked surprised. He did not expect Ayanna to suggest that. "Do you think they will help?" he asked. Ayanna nodded. "Yes," she said. "They have been through a lot. They know what it means to protect their home." Caleb felt a sudden feeling of pride. He realized that Ayanna was not just strong. She was wise. She knew how to bring people together. The town leaders agreed to meet with the Lakota community. Ayanna walked with Caleb to the edge of town. The path was dusty and the sun was warm. They walked quietly, and Caleb felt the weight of the moment. When they arrived, they saw a small group of Lakota people gathered near a few tents. The group looked calm but cautious. They had seen many things, and they were careful about who they trusted. Ayanna approached them with respect. She spoke to the group in a calm voice. Caleb listened quietly. He could not understand the language, but he could feel the respect in her words. After a few moments, one of the Lakota leaders stepped forward. He was an older man with wise eyes. His name was Chief White Eagle. He looked at Caleb and then at Ayanna. "Why are you here?" Chief White Eagle asked. Ayanna spoke. "The town needs help. The outlaws are coming back. We want to protect the people. We want to protect our homes." Chief White Eagle looked at Caleb. "You are the man they fear," he said. Caleb felt his cheeks heat up. He did not like being called a danger. He felt guilty. He felt ashamed. But he also knew that the truth was true. People feared him. He had caused pain in the past. Ayanna spoke again. "He is not the same man anymore. He has chosen to stay. He has chosen to protect." Chief White Eagle studied Caleb for a long moment. Then he nodded slowly. "If he chooses to protect, then we will help," he said. Caleb felt a deep feeling of relief. He had not expected the Lakota community to trust him. He had not expected them to help. But now he saw that he was not alone. The Lakota community agreed to help the town prepare. They shared their knowledge of the land. They taught the townspeople how to hide and how to move quietly. They showed them where to place watches. They helped build simple defenses. Caleb worked with them, learning and helping. He felt a sense of purpose that he had not felt in a long time. He felt like he was part of something important. As the days passed, the town became more prepared. The people worked together. They built simple barriers and dug small trenches. They set up a system to warn each other if the outlaws were coming. Caleb found himself becoming more involved. He helped train a few men to watch the road. He helped the children learn to stay safe. He helped the women prepare food and supplies. He was not the kind of man who liked to talk, but he began to feel something he had never felt before. He began to feel like he belonged. One night, Caleb sat near the well, thinking. Ayanna joined him quietly. She did not speak at first. She simply sat beside him. After a few moments, she spoke softly. "You have changed." Caleb looked at her. "I am still scared," he said. "I still shake." Ayanna nodded. "That is okay," she said. "Being brave does not mean you are not scared. It means you do not let fear control you." Caleb looked at his hands. The shaking was still there, but it felt different now. It felt like a part of him that he could accept. It felt like a sign that he was still human. He looked at Ayanna and said, "Thank you." Ayanna smiled gently. "You do not need to thank me," she said. "You chose this. You chose to stay." Caleb nodded. He knew she was right. He had chosen to stay. He had chosen to face the danger. He had chosen to protect. The night was quiet. The town was calm. The people were ready. Caleb felt a small hope inside him. He knew the outlaws would return. He knew the battle would come. But for the first time, he felt ready. He was no longer alone. He was no longer running. He was standing strong. And he was ready to face whatever came next. The night was quiet, but Caleb could feel the tension in the air. The town was ready, but readiness did not mean they were not afraid. Everyone was waiting, listening for the sound of danger. Caleb had never been in a situation like this before. He had fought many battles, but he had never fought for a place he cared about. He stood near the edge of town, watching the road. The moon was bright, and the stars were clear. The air was cold, and his breath formed small clouds. His hands were still shaking, but he held them steady. He did not want anyone to see his fear. Ayanna stood beside him. She was calm, but Caleb could see the tension in her eyes. She had prepared for this. She had helped the town prepare. She had helped the Lakota community and the townspeople work together. She had brought people together in a way that no one else could. Caleb felt a strange feeling in his chest. He felt grateful for her. He felt like he had found a reason to stay. He had found a reason to fight. He had found a reason to be brave. The town was quiet. The only sound was the wind moving through the trees. Caleb listened carefully. He heard nothing. Then, in the distance, he heard a sound. It was faint, but it was there. The sound of horses. The sound of people moving. Caleb's heart beat faster. He looked toward the road. He could see a small group of riders moving slowly. Their shapes were dark against the moonlight. They were coming closer. Caleb turned to Ayanna. "They are coming," he said quietly. Ayanna nodded. "Be ready," she said. The town was prepared. People were in their positions. Some were hidden behind barrels. Some were in small trenches. Some were watching from the rooftops. The children were inside, safe with their families. The adults were ready. The riders moved closer. Caleb could see them now. There were about 10 of them. They were the outlaws. They looked tired and angry. They looked like they wanted to take what they wanted, no matter what. The leader of the outlaws raised his hand. He shouted, "Come out! We know you are here. You cannot hide forever." Caleb felt his hands shake harder. He knew this moment would decide everything. He knew that if they lost, the town would be destroyed. He knew that if they won, the town would survive. Caleb raised his hand and his voice shook slightly as he spoke. "This town is not yours," he said. "Leave now and no one gets hurt." The outlaw leader laughed. "You think you can stop us?" he shouted. "You are only one man." Caleb looked at the town. He saw the people ready to fight. He saw the Lakota community standing with them. He saw the townspeople who had once feared him, now standing beside him. He saw Ayana's calm face. He felt something change inside him. He felt a strength he had not felt before. He felt a connection to the people. He felt like he was not alone anymore. Caleb raised his voice louder. "I am not one man," he said. "We are many." The outlaws looked surprised. They did not expect to see such unity. They did not expect to see the town so prepared. They hesitated. Caleb took a deep breath. His hands were shaking, but he held them steady. He knew what he had to do. He knew that this was the moment to show that he had changed. He raised his gun, not to kill, but to show strength. He fired a shot into the ground. The sound echoed through the town. The outlaws flinched. The townspeople watched, their hearts racing. The outlaws moved closer, slowly. They wanted to test the town's strength. They wanted to see if the town would fight. Caleb looked at Ayana. She nodded once, as if to say, "You can do this." Caleb felt a rush of fear. He wanted to run. He wanted to hide, but he did not. He stayed. He stood still. The outlaws reached the edge of town. The leader looked at Caleb and shouted, "You should not have stayed. You should have come with us." Caleb's voice was steady now. "I chose to stay," he said. "I chose to protect. I chose to be better." The outlaws laughed, but their laughter sounded weaker now. They were not sure if they could win. The first shot was fired. It came from a hidden spot near the town's edge. The outlaws flinched and moved quickly. The battle began. The town's defenders were ready. They moved with purpose. They did not panic. They did not run. They fought to protect their homes and their families. Caleb moved carefully, staying behind cover. His hands shook, but he kept his focus. He aimed only when necessary. He did not want to hurt anyone if he could avoid it. He wanted to protect the town, not destroy it. Ayana moved quickly as well. She was not a fighter, but she helped where she could. She guided people to safety. She called out warnings. She kept calm, even when the noise and fear were loud. The battle continued. The outlaws were strong, but the town was united. The Lakota community fought with courage. The townspeople fought with determination. Caleb saw people he had never spoken to before fighting beside him. He saw families protecting each other. He saw a community becoming stronger. Caleb felt a sudden rush of memory. He remembered the war. He remembered the violence. He remembered the people he had hurt. He remembered the guilt that had followed him for years. He felt the shaking in his hands grow stronger. He felt the fear rise, but he also felt something else. He felt the courage to keep going. He felt the strength to stay. He saw the outlaw leader moving toward the center of town. He looked angry and powerful. Caleb knew he had to stop him. Caleb took a deep breath and moved forward. He stepped out from behind cover. He aimed his gun at the outlaw leader. The outlaw leader saw him and raised his weapon. "You again?" he shouted. "You cannot win." Caleb's hand shook, but he held the gun steady. He aimed carefully. He did not want to hurt the outlaw leader. He only wanted to stop him. The outlaw leader moved closer. Caleb fired a shot, but he aimed at the ground near the leader's feet. The shot kicked up dust, and the leader stopped. Caleb spoke loudly. "Stop now," he said. "This is your last chance." The outlaw leader looked at Caleb, surprised. He did not expect mercy. He did not expect a man to stop him without trying to kill him. The leader's face changed. For a moment, Caleb saw doubt in his eyes. Then the leader looked away and shouted to his men, "Retreat! We are leaving!" The outlaws turned and ran. They did not look back. They did not want to fight anymore. The town had shown them that it was not weak. The town had shown them that it was ready. Caleb lowered his gun. His hands shook harder now, but he felt relief. He felt the fear begin to fade. He looked around and saw the town still standing. He saw the people safe. He saw the Lakota community and the townspeople standing together. Ayanna walked toward him. She looked tired, but she was calm. She stood beside Caleb and looked at the road. "They are gone," she said softly. Caleb nodded. "For now," he said. Ayanna looked at him. "You did it," she said. "You protected the town." Caleb looked down at his hands. They were still shaking, but he felt something different now. He felt like the shaking was not a sign of weakness. It was a sign that he had survived. It was a sign that he was still human. Caleb looked at Ayanna and said, "I did not do it alone." Ayanna smiled gently. "You never do," she said. The town began to calm down. People came out of hiding. They hugged their families. They thanked each other. They looked at Caleb with new respect. They no longer saw him as a danger. They saw him as a protector. Caleb felt a deep feeling of peace. He realized that he had finally found a place where he belonged. He realized that he had found a community that accepted him. He also realized that he had found something else. He had found hope. As the night grew quiet again, Caleb and Ayanna stood near the well. They watched the stars. The town was safe for now. The outlaws were gone. The people were alive. Caleb looked at Ayanna and asked quietly, "Do you think I am worth saving?" Ayanna looked at him, her eyes calm and steady. She smiled softly and said, "You were worth saving the moment you chose to stay." Caleb felt a tear in his eye. He did not know if he could stop the shaking completely. He did not know if his past would ever fully leave him. But he knew something important now. He knew that he could choose to be better. He knew that he could choose to protect. He knew that he could choose a new life. And for the first time in a long time, he felt like he was finally free.